in the mansion and is never
disappeared in the mansion. What? Did he get lost in Luigi's mansion? Reapers, what's his good? It's your boy Laser. He's back with another scary reaction video. He's on the scary content, so he can do laugh. He has written top 5 scary books that should be turned into horror movies. Guys, there's so many crazy ass cursed books out there with that straight. If you enjoy scary content, these more scary videos like features, hit the like button. You subscribe, hit the notification bell icon. I also stream every night on Twitch. Go check out the streams, fucking amazing. Let's dive straight in this video.
It's been proven countless times that adapting horror novels makes for horrifying movies. Think The Shining, Amityville Horror, A Clockwork Orange. All incredibly scary books that made for even better films. But have you ever wondered what horror novels are out there that could potentially be adapted for the big screen? Or at least should be given a chance? Well, today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary books that should be turned into horror movies. Before we begin, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. Let's jump in. In at 5, A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. Published in 2015, A Head Full of Ghosts is a horror novel that involves an American family under strain when their 14-year-old daughter Marjorie exhibits signs of mental illness, with the story being told from the
I have a huge mental illness.
point of view of Marjorie's 8-year-old sister Mary. Now, we learn quite quickly that it is not mental illness but is instead a demonic possession. Well, that's what we're told to believe anyway. With the family short on money, they agree to let a film crew
It's supposed to be like a cactus. That's a cactus, right?
into their home to shoot a reality show called The Possession about Marjorie and her upcoming exorcism. However, the show does nothing but tear the family further apart, and during this time, Marjorie drops a bombshell on her sister Mary that turns everything on its head. 15 years after the events, Mary recounts her tale in an interview when dark secrets surface. Secrets that are absolutely terrifying. Any horror told through the eyes of a young child is haunting. Add possession into the mix and a forced reality show, well, now we have all the elements for a perfect horror novel. Now, unlike the rest of our numbers, Focus Features has optioned the rights to A Head Full of Ghosts, so here's hoping we see the story come to life on the big screen very, very soon. In at 4, The Fisherman by John Langan. First published in 2016, The Fisherman takes place in upstate New York in the woods around Woodstock, where Dutchman's Creek flows out of the 𝐂𝐭 Reservoir, offering the promise of fine fishing and of something more, something far too absurd to be true. When Abe and Dan become fast friends, after discovering their shared passion for fishing, they begin to hear rumors of the creek and what might be found.
Fisherman. Don't lie, guys. We all just go fishing in our local swamp, bro. Put that fishing rod in the water. All of a sudden, we pull out a bunch of leeches, bro. They're stuck on my thing.
There, they find themselves drawn into the tale and head towards Dutchman's Creek, where long buried secrets and a mysterious figure known as Der Fischer is said to remain. Now, The Fisherman is one of the best horror novels of not just 2016 but also the last decade. Now, sadly, this book will likely not be turned into a movie simply because John Langan took full advantage of the freedom of writing, with the narrative being wrapped in another narrative filled to the brim with giant monsters and dark magic, resembling the works of H.P. Lovecraft, specifically at the Mountains of Madness, which would be surprisingly easier to shoot, and that's saying a lot. Now, The Fisherman, though filled with horrifying elements, is about loss itself, and two men struggling to deal with their issues of loss and learning
Is that supposed to be like a fucking dildo?
to carry on in the face of insurmountable grief. The Fisherman is a cosmic horror, unlike anything that has been penned before, with its mind-bending and heartbreaking tale of love, loss, and boundless horrors, making it the perfect addition to any horror lover's bookshelf. However, like I said, it's a cosmic horror, and at times even more intense than the works of H.P. Lovecraft. With the right director and all the money in the world, perhaps one day it will be brought to life. I have my doubts though. In at 3, Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. From the off, I should say that I read this novel when I was way too young, and I do not recommend, because some of these chapters and short stories in the book will linger in your mind for quite some time. One story in particular I've never forgotten. You've been warned. First published in 2005, Haunted has a plot that has a frame story for a series of 23 short stories, most preceded by a free-verse poem, with each story being followed by a chapter of the main narrative. Yeah, it's confusing and perhaps why the book has never been turned into a movie. But
what a random ass fucking background? Why a pool? For like a scary book video, why is there a pool behind her? You couldn't show some fucking blood dripping down like I don't know, like some crusty old wall with a bunch of period blood just dripping down it.
Still have hope. It's also written by the guy who did Fight Club, and that got turned into a movie, so there's always hope. Anyway, the main story centers on a group of 17 people who have decided to participate in a writer's retreat after seeing it posted on a bulletin board of a cafe in Oregon. Now, I won't spoil this book for you, that would just be rude. However, I will say after some things go down, the 17 individuals become trapped in the home, and in turn begin to believe that an increase in their suffering will provide better stories for when they're eventually rescued. So without the gory details, some of the characters begin to engage in self-mutilation and cannibalism, all for a more interesting—
Dude, how do people like actually like get into cannibalism? Like, how do you casually just eat someone else? Like, doesn't that taste like let me eat myself?
Interesting story. Haunted is a novel that explores how far some people will go for their art and the suffering from isolation. Now, it's no surprise this novel has not been turned into a movie. The description alone is enough to make some people cringe, but I still have hope that one day the likes of Eli Roth will nab the rights and bring something wonderfully gory to the big screen. In at 2, The Troop by Nick Cutter. The Troop is perhaps one of my favourite horror novels of all time, and that's a bold statement, especially coming from me, but it's the truth. Published in 2014, this horror novel follows Scoutmaster Tim Riggs and his troop of boys who once a year head into the Canadian wilderness for a 3-day camping trip. Comfortable, reliable tradition that of course makes for a perfect horror story. On the first night of their trip, an unexpected intruder stumbles into their camp. He's shockingly thin, pale, and worse, ferociously hungry.
Me? Dude, I actually look pale. You know what's weird, bro? Am I pale? Would you consider me pale? I look, I'm kind of pale. I mean, I am inside all the time. That's the joy of going and grinding, bro. Like, there's no outside time. I gotta get sunlight, for real. I need to touch some grass.
In turn exposing Tim and the boys to something far more terrifying than any ghost story. A bioengineered nightmare. A nightmare that spreads through the camp faster than fear itself. Now, I will not ruin this book for you because, like I said, this is one of my favourite horror books of all time. All you need to know is that the camp intruder, the human carrier of this virus, unleashes something truly disturbing onto the camp, something that will haunt my nightmares for years to come. It's disturbingly visceral, at times painfully descriptive, and terribly sad, all at the same time. It shows us the extremes young boys will go to when they meet something beyond any of their comprehensions. Now, if you don't want to take my word for it, the book even comes with Stephen King's stamp of approval.
Anything with Stephen King, bro? A+, bro.
Quote, "The troop scared the hell out of me, and I couldn't put it down." In the acknowledgements of the book, Cutter even credits King's novel Carrie as an inspiration for the structure of his book. So you know you're in for a horrifying treat from the get-go. And what makes it one of the greatest of its time, it will never ever be predictable and deserves to be made into a horror flick that we can experience visually. And finally, in at number 1, Wilding Hall by Elizabeth Hand. Published in 2015, Wilding Hall is a terrifying horror that follows a British acid folk band that hold themselves up in Wilding Hall, an ancient country home with incredibly dark secrets. It is in this terrifying English estate that the band create their album that will garner them all the success. But at what cost? Julian Blake, the lead singer of the band, disappears from within the mansion and is never—
Disappeared in the mansion? What? Did he get lost in Luigi's mansion? Did he see that you know, there's like an Easter egg in Luigi's mansion? Was there another Luigi's mansion? I think there's only one. There's like an Easter egg where like it shows fucking his shadow being like hanged, bro, over like a fucking wall. It's terrifying as shit.
Seen or heard from again. So years later, the surviving members of the group, as well as a sidekick, a photographer, and the band's manager, meet a young documentary filmmaker in order to tell their own versions of what went down in Wilding Hall and what—
Dude, this is very beautiful. I'm gonna get a whole ass boner from this shit. Oh my god. Look at the little cute birdies flying over. I think those are bats. This is a very—
really happened to Julian Blake. Of course, through the process of filming, dark secrets emerge about each member and their loved ones, making you question all— of the characters you thought you could trust. Now, although the story may resemble the comfortable, familiar haunted house story, that is not the case. The book is framed as a set of interviews, something drastically unique to the classic haunted house structure. However, the interviews don't go as expected. What we expect is differing events, unique versions from different band members. But that's not the case. Each interview remains unswervingly consistent, with each person describing a ghostly young woman who was lured into the open by Julian's performance of a haunting folk song. Now, there are of course some gothic trappings, secret passageways, icy sensations, and constant uneasiness all housed within a crumbling estate. This book is truly terrifying, take my word for it, and seeing it on the big screen would quite easily rival the fear felt in The Woman in Black and the horrifying horror show The Haunting of Hill House. Well,
that's scary as fuck. The Woman in Black. I got a black stress ball.
Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any scary books that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings. And
well, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Which one of those scary books? Oh, it's most interesting to you. If you enjoy scary content, these are more scary videos and features to do. I'll see you next one. Peace.
Extra large money.